What is this? Is this that Sega announcement they were teasing? Oh! 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 Jet Set Radio! Oh! Oh, and that's the new 𝗃𝗄𝗃𝗀𝗃 that was rumored too. Oh, okay. But finally, something worthwhile from these dudes. Sega actually finally made something worth my friggin' attention. Crazy. Yo, they actually popped off. That is crazy.
Let's go!
Cool!
Hey everyone, it's Nux, and today I'm back with another Sonic update video. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, because there hasn't been much Sonic news I felt like giving my thoughts on, aside from the review for Sonic Superstars that I'm hoping to get out eventually. But with this update video, the focus is not going to be on Sonic the Hedgehog news, because as you can tell from the title, this mostly centers around one specific Sonic game, Sonic Dream Team, that mobile Sonic game that just recently came out on Apple Arcade. But not only that, we're also going to be talking about the big announcement that happened at the Game Awards of this year, because I originally went to the Game Awards not expecting much, since that show is always hit or miss with whether it has interesting game news or not, and this year was no different. Seriously, I'm gonna stop watching that award show fully. But there was one announcement that really caught me off guard, which you saw at the start of the video. And we'll be covering my brief thoughts on all of that stuff towards the end of this video. But first, I want to give some thoughts on how I feel with Sonic Dream Team from an outside perspective. Because obviously I can't play this game, since it's exclusive to mobile devices and a subscription platform to one specific type of mobile device, which I still can't stress enough is really stupid. But I've looked at things such as the gameplay, the bosses, the worlds, and all of that stuff, and I feel like I've seen enough to where I can at least give some vague impressions on how I feel about the game. Of course, again, this isn't going to be a review because I haven't played it, and I can't give final judgment on a game I haven't played. But from what I'm seeing from an outside perspective, how do I feel about Sonic Dream Team? And basically, I see potential in this game. For starters, it is absolutely shocking to me that this is the first fully 3D Sonic game in years. That is right, this game does not at any point snap to the side and do the classic 2D sections that have plagued 3D Sonic games for the longest time now. This is a fully 3D Sonic game, and that just blows my mind. It took a freaking mobile game to get another Sonic game that is actually committed to fully 3D gameplay, and that is just something I could go crazy about for minutes on end alone. But even though this is a fully 3D Sonic game, does that mean Sonic Dream Team is automatically put above various other 3D Sonic games in recent years for me? And the answer to that, just from looking at it, is no. Because I feel like there's a lot of Sonic fans that don't understand that being a mobile game limits this game a lot. Like, in terms of the missions and level structure of this game, they are short. Very short. Like, I'm saying that there are some levels that are literally 10 seconds, because all you have to do is pretty much go forward on a very straight and simple path, and by following said path, you'll reach the end of the level in no time, and that's it for this game's gameplay. And I can't say that's really better than any console 3D Sonic game. because most of the other Sonic games have much more depth than that. Even a game like Sonic Forces, as very straightforward and simple that game's level design is, has a little more depth than what's going on with Sonic Dream Team in some areas. So unfortunately, I can't really say that this is a game that beats any other mainline Sonic game in gameplay. And I really want to stress that because from a bunch of video thumbnails and clickbait titles, you can tell that people are trying to gas this game up as if it's better than a lot of mainline Sonic games. And I'm sorry, I just cannot agree with that. Now, I get it. Mainline Sonic is something that has been very up and down with its quality. It has been controversial for the longest, so I can understand why people make these comparisons. And in some areas, this game has potential that can improve mainline Sonic games. For example, when it comes to the presentation of this game, the animations for some of the cutscenes actually looks a little more fluid than ones in the games right now, which is just straight up embarrassing. You could maybe chalk it up to the Apple budget, but even then, big budget Sonic games that are on consoles don't have any excuse to not have cutscenes that look as fluid as some of the ones in this game. But in terms of most areas of this game, again, it's just too simple to put above a lot of other ones out there, even if there is more polish. Now, what about this game has potential? Well, first of all, I do like the fact that this game utilizes the extended Sonic cast and tries to have a Sonic game that really makes every character have some level of decent importance again. For example, we obviously have Sonic as the main protagonist, but a character like Tails is also here to play as in levels, and he gets to show off his smarts, go on the main adventure and fight, and not just cower in a corner. Same with the female characters like Amy and Rouge, where it feels like they're active parts of a story again, and not a total afterthought. Rouge is here because Sonic & Co. relied on her intel to find out what Eggman is up to. Granted, the mysterious intel isn't elaborated on, of course, but it's pretty neat. And Amy feels decently in character too. Knuckles is here, though once again, his writing and characterization isn't perfect or exciting per se. At best, he's just inoffensive. But surprisingly, they really did a good job with making Cream important to a Sonic plot again, as she actually has an interesting story reason to why she's in this story. As Eggman kidnapped her again, which I want to say is wild because I can't believe Eggman is back on his kid snatching, because her innocent mind was the key to bypassing into the power of this game's dream artifact. So theoretically, this story should make her have a very personal stake in everything, and I think that's cool. But again, it all comes back to the fact that this is a mobile Sonic game. Because since things like the level design, world design, and even the story have to be simplified for a small-scale mobile game, it really wastes the potential of a lot of these cool factors. Yeah, we have multiple playable characters, but they don't play as great as they do in a lot of other Sonic games out there. And the level design simplicity only gives them so many chances to show off why playing as these different characters is so fun. Now, there are some cool elements with this game's level design, like how these ramps throughout the game allow for Sonic to transition into running up walls and jumping around the world pretty smoothly, which almost gives this game better parkour gameplay than a game like Sonic Lost World, a game where parkour was one of the main new gimmicks. So I think that's something that can be built upon and brought into full-fledged 3D Sonic games for consoles. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. The enemy combat and bosses aren't better, the rail grinding is basic, etc. A lot of what this game has to offer in gameplay is just done better in other Sonic games out there. So there isn't too much to this game that I would really say is that great. The most unique thing about the game is its ideas, like the concept of a Sonic game themed around dreams, with crazy dream worlds controlled by Eggman, and unique locations we might not get to see in a traditional Sonic game. But whoops, that's all used for this mobile Sonic game, and Sega rarely revisits ideas more than once, so yeah. You can see how this game really frustrates me. In terms of a general Sonic game for mobile devices, it's okay. I would even say it's good, or great even, but it is not the amazing 180 to mainline Sonic that everyone hypes up. As even me, someone who is a big criticizer of mainline Sonic games lately, can't put Sonic Dream Team above a lot of the mainline installments. I'm sorry, it just doesn't surpass them. But now, let's talk about some other areas about the game. How is the music? And honestly, my thoughts on the music is that it's just kind of mediocre. Like, it's what you'd expect out of a mobile game. The music is just passable. There's nothing really memorable from this game that I think I'd come back to listen to. What you see is what you get. Or I guess rather, what you hear is what you get. But whatever, music is just not even noteworthy. What about the presentation? Again, the presentation is pretty simple because of the fact that this is a mobile game. There's some areas of the game that look a bit better than I was expecting, but overall, the presentation is just alright. I was very fearful that the game would run like absolute garbage because of how there was some lag in places in the original reveal trailer, but in terms of the final game, I think the presentation is just okay. It's good, I guess. But let's circle back to something that I'm just really frustrated by, which is the story, characters, and world potential of this game. Because I feel like this is the most wasted thing about this game, since with a bigger scope, this could have been so much cooler. I mean, think about it. A weird set of dream worlds where Eggman has control of everything because of this ancient dream artifact with a determined new Guardian character. That could have been so cool for a fully mainline Sonic story, but it's just wasted on this mobile Sonic game. Like, this could have been a chance to do some pretty crazy levels that are unconventional for Sonic games. And of course, what we see of the ones here, there are some interesting ideas. But again, because of the fact that this is a mobile platform game, they just don't get the chance to do many more interesting things. The set pieces are extremely simplistic, and that also goes towards the bosses and enemies, as it's basically just the classic overused Batnik enemies, with a few exceptions like the egg pawns again, and that's it. I feel like this concept could have been made into a so much bigger Sonic game with an interesting premise and location, but because of the fact that it's just for a mobile game, it just doesn't do much more outside the surface level concept. Sonic slowly rescues his friends, quickly teams up with 𝗰𝗲𝗀 to understand the dream world a little bit more, beats up Eggman, and that's it. There's like no cool scenes where Sonic has to navigate the insanity of this dream world. You're just kinda sitting around in this one void space, and then they eventually confront Eggman, and that's the end of the story. Which is a shame, especially in terms of the final boss, because, spoilers, the final boss being this distorted nightmare form of Eggman actually could have gone really hard. Like, imagine this being a chance for Sonic & Co. to directly fight Eggman with no mechs. It could have gone crazy. But oh well, what we got for a mobile platform at least was passable. Except for the voice acting. Because for the love of God, bro, why do these games continue to get worse with that, with every new game? Seriously, for example, what the heck happened to Rouge's voice?
So, someone could dream up anything, and you'd be able to make it happen in the real world? Interesting.
Oh, don't get your hopes up. She did say pure-hearted.
Huh? What does that even mean?
Ugh. But anyway, summary and final verdict. Basically, everything is just okay. Nothing here is very offensive. It's just painfully okay, because it's good for mobile standards. But in terms of standards that could match up with previous Sonic games or any sort of console Sonic game, it can't compete. I'm sorry, it just can't. So yeah, those are my overall thoughts on Sonic Dream Team. Obviously, I haven't played it, so you can't use my thoughts as a reviewer or something like that. And I don't want to see anyone saying, oh, well, 𝗃 said Sonic Dream Team is bad, so go attack them, or whatever. No, I'm not saying that the game is good, or that the game is bad, or anything like that. I'm just very frustrated that all of these interesting ideas and concepts for a 3D Sonic game are for a very limited mobile Sonic game. And beyond that, I just have nothing else to really say. So that's it for Sonic Dream Team. Now, it's time for me to commit a sin for the Sonic Update series, and that is talking about something that is not related to our Blue Lord and Savior. Because I want to give some brief thoughts to what Sega announced at the Game Awards that happened this year. And it was pretty crazy because obviously I was expecting nothing from this award show, but suddenly this Sega teaser comes on, and I knew it was Sega because of the fact that, I could hear the Sonic rings and I saw the various Sega things, but I had no idea what was coming. Basically, Sega sat there and announced multiple reboots for their IP, which is crazy because if you guys recall, I've been roasting Sega hard for the fact that they rely on Sonic and a handful of other IP. Like, there are so many people that want to compare Sega to Nintendo, and every time it happens, I just can't help but laugh because they're not comparable to Nintendo. They haven't been for years. Ever since the Dreamcast has died off, a lot of their franchises have died off in the background. And besides, Sonic, because Sonic is a freaking cockroach of a franchise, like, they just haven't really made much of a name for themselves. So, for years, I've clowned on the fact that Sega's, is just not that great of a developer as people hype up. But this announcement made me kind of reconsider that because they announced so many different reboots for various series that I thought would never come back. And obviously the big one that I was hyped for, and the first one that they really showed off because they knew this is the one people have been waiting for. Jet Set Radio 3, baby. Yes, I have been waiting for this game for so long. I thought it would never happen, but it finally happened, and I'm so happy, bro. Now, obviously, we can't celebrate yet, because while these reboots are cool, like it's cool to see Crazy Taxi, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Shinobi, it's really cool to see all these franchises again. This is Sega. Like, they are a very hit or miss studio, and knowing their track record, at least one of these reboots is probably not going to deliver. And there's potential that even all of them will have faults in some way. So yeah, while I really want to be excited for this, we got to remember that Sega does not have a track record that, is consistent yet. And because of that, I just can't be 100% hyped for this, but I can't help it, man. It's just so good to see some of these franchises come back, and I really hope that they do well in sales, obviously, and that they just overall are really good games and quality. But that's pretty much it. For Jet Set Radio 3, especially, we need Hideki back on the soundtrack, bro. We need them to cook for that one, because that one is just a big Sega series I've been waiting to come back. For the longest time, I've had to call myself a Nintendo and Sonic channel because Sega hasn't really delivered much on their front. But now, maybe I can actually start calling myself a Nintendo and Sega channel instead of a Nintendo and Sonic channel. But that's going to be it for this video. If you've made it to this point of the video, thank you for watching all the way until the end. If you've somehow managed to play Sonic Dream Team, what did you think of the game? Are these newly revealed Sega games a sign of them making a true comeback? Or will Sega be back on their usual BS? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new to it, and follow my additional social media for more content and updates. This has been 𝗏𝗀𝗃, and I'm out. Peace. I could care less for a port of Sonic Dream Team, but can we get ports for Jet Set Radio 1 and Jet Set Radio Future to other systems? Please, bro. If you're going to release Jet Set Radio 3 finally, port the other games, port other games other than the Genesis Sonic games. Please, bro, please. That's it. Video over.